This is Gordi and you're watching AMBY.
Hey everyone, it's Alicia from AMBY and I would like to welcome you to our interview with Gordi.
Thank you very much.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for taking the time to have a chat today.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having a chat.
It's my pleasure. So I want to kick things off by discussing Clever Disguise, new EP release.
Yeah.
What has been the coolest thing to happen since this came out?
Yeah, so we've been touring for the last month, following kind of the release. About a week later, we went overseas, and the shows we've played in the US have been awesome. You know, I feel like I can't really gauge how the songs are resonating with people unless you're up playing in front of them. And so we had a show. All the shows have been great, but especially the one in LA. There was sort of 400 people there, and it was I was playing alongside a guy called Kevin Garrett. But yeah, sort of seeing people singing the words, in the crowd in a city you've never been to
it's pretty invigorating.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's been good.
Have you had fans coming up to you after the shows to express their thoughts or feelings on things?
Yeah, no, people have been so nice. After every show, there's always people coming up saying, they've heard the music, and in Minneapolis especially, there were lots of people coming up, which was quite surprising. And people were, saying such nice things, and I was walking back to the green room afterwards and someone was like, "Oh, sorry, excuse me." And I was sort of like, "Oh, they're going to say something nice." And he was like, "Do you work here?" And I was like, "No, I don't." So those things keep you grounded.
But there are a lot of personal lyrics on this record, a lot of personal stories. And I feel like some of it's about wanting something that you just can't quite have or wanting somebody. Was that focused on one sole person or thing? Or tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It is a lot of the songs are inspired by relationships, I guess, but no, it's never kind of been a sole person that's inspired all those things. And I think even if it is inspired by a particular person, it sort of kind of becomes its own thing. It's like you end up working with an idea rather than just sort of a memory. But yeah, it's that sort of idea of wanting is one of the songs is called Wanting,
yeah.
So that is pretty prevalent. But yeah, I think it ends up sort of being a bit more introspective than perhaps it starts out. I kind of start out writing the song about something, and then it ends up, just being about, I guess, what I've learnt from whatever the circumstance is.
And then calling it Clever Disguise. What's the significance behind that? Because I could not find this.
Yeah, well, it's a lyric in one of the songs, Can We Work It Out? The line is, "We're failing at our clever disguise." And I sort of came up, I wanted the title to be a lyric from one of the songs. And so I came up with a whole list. And that was, I really liked that one because it's sort of, music is, I guess, songwriting is a bit of a disguise. You're kind of up there pouring your heart out in front of these people, but somehow it doesn't feel like you're doing that.
And aside from the tour you're on, you played some really cool festivals before that, like Groove in the Moo. You're also at Sasquatch.
Yeah, that's it. That was very cool. Sasquatch was amazing. We were played on this stage looking out to the gorge, in Washington. It was nuts. It was so cool. And we played at the Great Escape in Brighton. And festivals of I'm a very avid supporter, as in I go to a lot of festivals, but to actually play, it is sort of, I get more nervous, I think, than my own shows, because people are kind of so G'd up at festivals to have a good time, and so I'm like, oh, how are they going to go with the ballad? But people, most people have responded really well, so yeah, it's been good.
That's great. Just tell me about your dream festival. Where would it take place? Who would you want on the bill?
That's tricky. I think, well, look, like Glastonbury, Coachella, all those things are pretty cool, but and Iceland Airwaves is another one, not quite a Coachella, but that I'd love to play. Someone was saying last night, Pitchfork Festival, all those ones would be amazing, but to play, look, I wouldn't say no to playing alongside Florence and the Machine. They were playing at Sasquatch, but unfortunately we missed them. But artists like that, and to play alongside Bon Iver or people like that would be pretty cool.
I like how you're listing a lot of your inspirations there, of course.
Yeah, that's it. And he has a festival in Eau Claire. So if you're watching this, I'm available if you want.
And you're still based in Sydney,
yeah, that's
right?
it. Yep.
So what's the perfect day off in Sydney like? Like, if our viewers were to hang out with you for a day there, what would you want them to see or check out?
Yeah, okay, so I live in a suburb called Randwick in Sydney, and I live near, it's like a big park called Centennial Park, so probably start with walking around the park, and there's you can go Sausage Dog, you know, like looking for sausage dogs because they're everywhere, and that's something that I like to do. And then I live quite close to the beach, so stroll down to the beach would definitely be in order. And there's kind of 5 or 6 really beautiful beaches with all, you know, white sand, very classically Australian. So that'd probably be where I'd start.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the nickname Gordi.
Yeah, that's a weird one. It's like the short short story is that my brother called me that as a child, and we don't know why. He had a million really weird nicknames for me, because he was just a bit odd, and that one just stuck. It actually was, he called me Gordon, and then it got shortened to Gordi, and like we have no idea why, and I kept it a massive secret from people. And like none of my friends knew, and anytime they'd come over, I'd sort of say to my family, like, please don't call me that, you know, just call me Sophie. And so when, like, it's pretty funny now that I'm broadcasting it to the world, because my manager, you know, suggested when we were kind of starting out that, you know, would I play under another name? And I was so hesitant to, and I remember actually running the idea by a couple of friends of mine saying, you know, what do you guys think of if I play under another name? They were like, that's super weird, don't do that. And I was like, what would it be? And I was like, oh, it's kind of this weird family nickname. And they were like, yeah, we didn't know you had a family nickname. And I was like, oh, it's Gordi. And they just like pissed themselves laughing for like 10 minutes. They're like, there's no way you can do that. So I did not take their advice.
What swayed your opinion to go with that?
Yeah, I don't know what it was in the end. I think we sort of just like, I was on the cusp of making the decision, and then we just went ahead and put the name on a poster, and I just like,
no turning back from that.
Yeah, well, exactly. But it actually took me so long. Like for the longest time, I wouldn't say, you know, like I'd be up on stage, and I hated being like, I'm Gordi. I just wouldn't say it. So for like the first year of performing, people were like, we don't know who you are because you never introduced yourself on stage, because I felt too awkward to say it. But it's grown on me.
Well, I know your mum's a music teacher, so obviously music, love of it, runs in your family.
Yeah.
Which bands or artists do you remember listening to the most in your house?
Billy Joel was like always on.
I love Billy Joel.
Yeah. Billy Joel, Carole King, James Taylor, Eva Cassidy, the Eagles. Like, you know, we kind of had we had a lot of those basis covers, you know, the Beatles. But yeah, it was mainly Billy Joel. Like it was, Mum would like, we had a cassette tape and we had a CD. We had like every form of the record, and we could put it on in the car, and within the first like 5 seconds of each song, I could say which one it was. So I was a big fan.
That's a game my sister and I will play. Yeah. You like skip through the tracks and you have to name them off.
Yeah, exactly.
And how about now? Who are some bands you're digging? 'Cause before we were all in the house kind of naming off a few that we're liking.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, I love Bon Iver, and I love Askia and The Tallest Man on Earth. They're probably my favourite 3 artists that I can rattle off. But there's a lot of great Australian music coming out at the moment, like Courtney Barnett is wonderful, and bands like Gang of Youths, and you know, kind of new artists like Alex Leahy, and I'm kind of really into the Australian music scene at the moment. So it's alive and well. Yeah.
Awesome. And your track "Can We Work It Out" was featured in Vampire Diaries.
Yeah,
I know you kind of freaked out a little bit when you heard that.
Yeah, it was really weird. I don't watch the show, to be perfectly honest. But it was quite funny, like finding out which of my friends did, because they were like, "Oh, we saw your song on the Vampire Diaries," and I was like, "Oh, you watch it." But I watched the episode, and to be honest, it was just so weird. I was like, oh, it kind of doesn't, you know, it doesn't feel right. But I guess maybe all artists who see their songs on things feel that way. But it was, yeah, I mean, it was like 7 seconds, but it was, you know, it was worth every second. So
if you could choose to have your music in any show,
Grey's Anatomy.
That was the quickest answer ever. Why Grey's Anatomy? You're a massive fan of the show?
I am. It's like my real weakness, my Achilles heel. I've always loved it, and I just I mean, sad that Derek's dead now. I don't know if you watch it. Sorry if you don't. Spoiler
alert.
Yeah. But you know, that's killed it a bit for me. But
okay.
But I would love it to be on that.
I love that. Well, to wrap everything up today, anything you want to say to all of the Gordi fans out there who will be viewing?
Yeah. Thank you for being a fan, first of all, I guess, and I hope to see you at a show sometime soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
No worries. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure. And remember, to everybody viewing, you can visit us at musicblogya.com for exclusive interviews, features, videos, and so much more with your favorite artists.
That's it.
See you next time.